As the panel indicated, competition increases in the banking industry. Banks are also investing heavily in their digital and mobile channels. The next panel looks into this particular issue. It is called "Is Retail Banking Becoming Mobile Apps?" The panelists are Professor Dr. Kucukozmen from Izmir University of Economics and Taleh Tahirli from International Bank of Azerbaijan and Amirkhan Chikanayev from Sberbank, Kazakhstan. Let's hear what they have to say.
Good morning, everyone. The title of today is Retail Banking Becoming Mobile Applications? And now we are living in extreme and unexpected and abnormal times. And generally, these words are used to describe the times that we used to live centuries ago. But today, the extreme, unexpected, and abnormal has become the name of the game. So we call it normal times. So we need to manage the extreme uncertainty, which is faced twice or three times in a century. But the bankers are the best people to manage extreme and unexpected conditions. And they are always good at finding new models and new business channels and continuous innovations, particularly on internet and communication technology. And they are heavily used in banking. Banks are the leading institutions that can use the technology very quickly. And the name of the game for banks is sustainability and uninterrupted business continuation, because it's very important for financial systems in general and payment systems in particular. To address the transformation of banking from traditional services to mobile applications is generally known as the digital transformation of banking system. So it will not be wrong to call the banks as digital banks available 24/7 in our pockets. Today we have two distinguished bankers from Azerbaijan and Kazakhstan. Taleh Tahirli is from International Bank of Azerbaijan and Amirkhan Chikanayev from Sberbank, Kazakhstan. And I say welcome to both guests.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hello.
Thank you.
Oh, very good. Thank you very much. We also thank you very much. So let me start with Taleh from International Bank of Azerbaijan. Taleh, as we know, the mobile banking drives digital transformation. So can you please tell us what is a key determinant of success in managing this transformation model?
Thank you, Coskun Bey, for creating this opportunity. And regarding that question, yes, mobile banking is like becoming the main driver of the digital transformation, because this is the channel which creates the main part of the traffic of retail customers. And starting this journey really requires certain important efforts. And everything starts, of course, from the right planning, having the right architecture of the plan. And the second one, I would say that the governance system will welcome this plan and will create a suitable governance system that will be easily implemented during this journey. So I would say the answer to your question is to have a right implementation of digital transformation, especially implementing successful digital mobile app for the retail customers, starts from having for the banks properly working a governance system. So what I mean when I say a governance system, as you know, today mainly there are like two governance models that we know from the literature. That's like waterfall method, and the second one is agile methodology. So considering the fact that today the market, the financial market especially, is growing so rapidly, it's very important to react to customer expectations in a flexible and in a very speedy way. So having this agile way of working settled in an organization, of course, will help for the banks to react these customer needs, to be very fast on overcoming this challenge, actually. So the answer to your question, is to be shorter, is to have a right governance which is based on agile methodology. You are on mute, Coskun Bey.
So thank you very much for your explanations. And so the two keywords are the governance system and the agile way of working are extremely important. Now, Amirkhan, and my question to you, mobile banking becomes a core sales channels for many banks. And how do you evaluate the trend? Where do you see it going?
Well, thank you very much, Coskun Bey. If let's look at the history of mobile banking. It's not a new thing which is on the market. It's appeared first back. If you look back in the 2000, it started with the SMS banking, and then the first mobile app was launched in 2010-11 by BS. So practically, this isn't not something new, which is had been on the market for a decade already. The right thing to say is how is it evolving and evaluating through the time. And you correctly mentioned that we are currently living in a new normal reality, which is boosted by COVID-19. But again, this is not something which banks didn't expect, or the banks didn't take actions to go online. There was different attempts to not the differences, but many attempts to go online and provide services 100% digitally through the mobile banks. And as the COVID-19 happened, it became basically a trigger for banks to reevaluate their business models, to look at the market in a new way, and the client behavior has changed. The patterns have changed. So it calls the banks for basically it's a wake-up call for the banks to start doing things as soon as possible. And as Taleh correctly mentioned, the more agile structure the bank has, the better to respond to the market demand. So as I see it, the banks are very conservative in the way they always being very classical in providing services. But what we see already is that the shift in client behavior and the client patterns, approximately 80% of the clients already use the mobile banks as the daily financial service providing channel. So it's vital for banks to follow the clients and provide the services digitally. What's also important to say is where the market goes in the mobile banking development. I'm a strong advocate for the whole process of platformization, where the banks from the mobile banks they move and they shift, they develop into the platforms, which is a very important piece. Since simply providing financial services and selling the products online is not enough anymore. The market is evolving very rapidly these days. The technology there is the technology evolving very fast. There are newcomers to the market as a fintechs. There is also competition growing not only from the inside but also from outside. If you look at this large technology companies like Google, Facebook, Amazon, all of them entering the banking field and trying to take a piece of our pie. So it is critical for banks to also make a move and develop new solutions, develop new business models. So platformization is a critical piece. It's where the banks could provide not the banking and financial services only, but also provide clients with additional value, something they never provided before. So my answer to your question, I do believe that mobile banks was an interim piece, and going digital was a major trend for the last 10 years, I think. And the next step we're going is a platformization.
Yeah, Thank you very much for your contributions. And as you said, COVID-19 was unexpected, and sometimes markets will force you to do the unexpected. And so we started with COVID-19, So my second question to Taleh is, Taleh, can you please tell us how COVID-19 affected customer preferences in mobile banking?
Yeah, I think the reaction of the customers to COVID-19, it's varies from the market to markets, in my opinion. For example, like the more mature, digitally mature markets, when you look to the new reality in terms of digitalization, it was very easy for most of the segment of the customers to adapt the new banking services, which, as we know, the main challenge for the banks was to migrate fully from the offline channels to the digital channels in order to avoid physical contact of the customers with the branch, with the cash, with the ATMs, machines, and so on. So depending on the maturity level of the markets, I think the preferences also changed accordingly. If we say about the emerging markets, in case of, let's say, the country that I'm representing, Azerbaijan, yeah, there was like before the COVID, we were thinking that, okay, digitalization is mainly for the Z generation, it's mainly for the Y generation, I mean, the tech-savvy people. But for example, COVID showed to us that actually age is not matter in digitalization. We can easily actually migrate elder people, our customers are also very easily to use our mobile apps, and that was actually a very positive side of the COVID that created a lot of challenge in terms of the business as well. Of course, in terms of health and safety, but at the same time, it creates a lot of less costly and opportunities, higher customer satisfaction, opportunities that we can provide to our almost to all the segments of the customers. The second one was that we understood and still focusing on that is that human touch is still remains the most important part of the banking services. Even we try to fully digitalize, but there will be a need, there is a need, and there will be a need still for the human touch in banking service. Yes, we need to try as a banks to lower the costs, lower the, I don't know, paper numbers that we spend, or the hours that customers spend, time that they spend in waiting, I don't know, in getting the service in their branch. But still, at least for like a certain time of period, there is a need for this, our customers, to get certain human touch, human contact in the bank branch as well. So it's proved us that branches are still important, but in what content, that's a question that we will see in the future development. Another point, preferences that we saw during the COVID was that customers actually are looking for non-cash payments. They're looking for certain loyalty systems that will stimulate their payments in terms through the non-cash channels. They don't want to touch too much to cash. So actually, this kind of tactics, this kind of strategies before for the banks that are in mainly emerging markets was a kind of challenge how to overcome of customers to use more non-cash other than cash. But COVID actually helped us as a banks very easily to move to non-cash economy. So, but what happened that the expectations of the customers raised tremendously. So since they are all using the digital channels, now they are looking really very, let's say, app which has a easily user experience. It works very fastly. There's no performance issues. It changes very quickly, like provides upgrades every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks. So expectations from the customer segment also are increasing. So that's why actually I'm returning to my to your first question, that in order to maintain these expectations of the customers, it's very important at the same time to build working proper business model that will provide this expectation of the customer in a right time manner. Otherwise, the competition, will will push us to stay away from this game.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. The human touch is still necessary, and in the near future, there will be probably artificial intelligence and human cooperation together, but we still need human touch, as you said. Now, without wasting too much time, I want to ask a second question to Amirkhan. So since we are running out of time, if you could be, a little bit more precise regarding your answers, we will be happy. My second question to you is digital-only banks, just digital, no physical appearance. Digital-only banks is another industry trend which is rapidly evolving in many regions. And in 2025, it's expected that many of the banks will be, digital only. Do you think that this is something that real or dream, or are they the future of banking industry?
Well, if we look at it, the digital banks is definitely something we are all the banks, I expect, like within the next 5 years, by 2025, we'll definitely see a major shift in the business models, and most of the banks will provide their services digitally only, with of course with a certain presence in offline. Since the human touch, as was correctly mentioned, will be still important. But I do believe that this will be mainly with the private and wealth management, whereas the core services and banking services will be provided 100% digitally. So it's important to again, back to the previous discussion. It's important to understand that the shift is not because the banks develop something new. It's more like following the clients demand for the new services, and the demand comes from the online channels, and it's for banks to follow them. And there is no chance we will see a offline network as a competitive advantage going forward.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much. And digital-only banks and digital-only financial services and a digital economy and digital life, are the unavoidable facts of our life. And my final question to Taleh. Taleh, do you agree that the open innovation, as I say, our concept, initiatives could enable banks to move into adjacent areas as part of broader ecosystem play? And what is your idea about this?
Thank you, Coskun Bey. Yes, I think I absolutely agree with this argument, actually. Now, as Amirkhan also mentioned in previous question, that being open to providing a platform business, and especially on retail banking, is also a very important part in meeting the new expectation of the customers. Because today, having a digital platform in terms of financial services is not enough for the customers. Now, customers are looking for a place where they can actually make their all transactions, their all digital meets as much as possible through the one single platform. It's the same as before there was many cards in the wallet. Now they're trying to have one multi-card, and it's happening the same with apps, actually. So having one multi-app, super app, we can say it, where you can provide to your customers together with the financial services, also non-financial services as well. But how to achieve it? In order to achieve this, it's very important to be open to all the innovation, open to the ecosystem, actually. Or you should be a player of the ecosystem, or you should be able to support to build this ecosystem. So how to build this ecosystem? There are certain drivers, of course, of building this open ecosystem. There need to be talents, there need to be demand actually created from the corporates, big corporates. There need to be entrepreneurial spirit, of course. So trying to be an integral, important part of this ecosystem will also enable other players to be the same journey with you. And of course, it will bring to your platform, as mentioned before, to be easily integrated to non-financial services as well. So at the end of the day, our main job is to make our customer happy. So if our customer can buy all the stuff from the single platform, why not to do that? So I fully support your argument. I think it's a new challenge actually for the large financial organizations. It will be the main part of the future competition in financial side. I think it's like, I fully agree.
Yeah. Thanks, Taleh. Actually, apparently you are heavily investing in research and development, probably, and technology, and making customers happy, but spending a lot of money on technology and intellectual property. Well-developed, trained human, source is the most important ingredients of being a continuous driver of the ecosystem, because being a leading bank or leading position in any country requires you have to run all the time, 24 hours. You have to work very hard because everything is changing and customers' needs are nearly endless. To make them happy is the key for the success, I suppose. Thank you very much for your answer. Now, my final question to Amirkhan is about data, the new oil or new gold of our age, and data becomes an important factor in the banking industry. I suppose, do you agree? You agree, but what is the role of artificial intelligence in this data-driven world? What do we expect in the next coming years?
Well, I think the question, I can link it to to my colleague that the role of AI becomes critical in the new age.
Yeah.
The reason behind Taleb just said a very brilliant thing is that the reason the banks going more to the platformalized development, becoming platforms. So it's basically it's not banks anymore. So most banks still think like they're financial institutions and they're selling the financial products and services. This is they need to start thinking outside the box. They start to think more technologically, embrace technology, embrace new developments, follow the customer, and becoming platforms, becoming new players, new business models. And here comes the important part of AI, embracing the payment service directive PZ2 in Europe, or everything what's happening in China is they already like 5-10 years before us. And we just approaching this basic concept of synergy with the market, with sharing the data. Banks as a financial institutions, we are big holders of enormous transactional data, but we lack information about the client behavior outside the transaction. So merging with as a platform, giving access to other players, merging with different platforms will not limit us, but will advance our knowledge of the customer, will advance our will basically give us a power to make proper judgments on upsell prospects. So AI in this regard is a critical part, because it gives us the power to understand the client in more detail, because today AI is used only within the banks. The common pattern is to move in the anti-fraud or developing the chatbots or upselling the credit products, but there is a market beyond that. So If you look at the major marketplaces which are selling products, but then again, if you look deep in the structure, the business model, they're not selling the products, they're selling the value for the customer using the AI technology. So whatever you take, eBay, Amazon, AliExpress, those marketplaces, they're not shops, they're basically a huge platform, engine platform, powered with AI technology, which provides their clients value in terms of selecting and choosing and proposing goods. On the other hand, they helping the merchants to sell their products. So the banks have to move in that way to not just provide financial services and products, but becoming a platform with AI empowered infrastructure engine, so they can sell the value, new value to the client, develop new business models using AI technology. And answer to the question, AI is a critical and most important thing which banks should concentrate in the years to come.
Yep, thank you very much. And your both words remind me something. You know, top 10 investment banks, you know, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, and many of them defines themselves as, we are a big technology company with a banking license. So they don't call themselves as banks, they call them, we are a technology company. So banks are getting more and more technology oriented and technology companies. So you are two most distinguished and valuable bankers, really contributed a lot to our panel today. And to be honest, you know, we are very lucky. Probably the audience are going to be very lucky for listening to you. Thank you very much for your kind and very important contributions, and hope to meet sometime in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your invitation. Thank you.
Thank you.